remembers the Lululemon creator. Is this the guy who got in trouble for racist comments a long time ago?
Yes.
Okay,
well,
he
he made the name of the company Lululemon to make fun of the Asian accent. Where they have trouble with the R's and the L's.
So this guy's a bit.
He wanted them to say Lululemon. No. This is the guy that we're talking about. The Lululemon founder has just made comments putting down the DEI pivot his company made. He said the plus size models look unhealthy.
They literally do.
Sickly and not inspirational.
I'm on his side then.
Yeah.
But I mean, how does he not, is he not involved in the company anymore, so he doesn't have any say?
Not since 2013.
All right. That makes sense then.
But look at this. I mean, they don't look healthy. You can make unhealthy people pretend to do yoga, and that's not the same thing as being healthy.
Yeah.
It's like we're not supposed to be able to say that anymore. It's the same thing with Victoria's Secret. You know, they finally did an about face, as you know, with their policies toward this type of thing. And so they finally they're like, okay, you know, it's actually not good for our bottom line to have unattractive, overweight models. We're going to go back to the formula.
Losing billions of dollars to have them realize that and admit that publicly. But
it's not even just about
that. Didn't change anything, because I was ranting about this off air yesterday. They issued this mea culpa, and then nothing in their business model changes.
Really?
And I was just on the Victoria's Secret website the other day, and I click on something, and it's, you know, it's a skinny woman in her underwear, right? But she has this surgical scar that's like right above the panty line, and I'm like, why? Why does this need to be there? I don't even know what it was. Probably. But like, even if the model isn't fat, they have to decide there's something else that needs to be wrong with her. There has to be something wrong with her. She has to have a surgical scar, have vitiligo, have some kind of like discoloration, stretch marks, cellulite, anything. But it has to be something that's like wrong with you, right? And I just find it very strange that you would issue this mea culpa and say, we're going to change things now. And I look at your website and none of the imagery has changed. You're not going back to the Victoria's Secret angel look.
That's weird.
They haven't changed anything, and they're going to continue losing money.
It's funnier if the lady like didn't even have the scar. They did it with makeup, with like visual effects makeup.
Like, I don't feel bad for saying that your surgical scar is ugly and I don't want to look at it.
Well, it's not just fat or that. It's like, I don't want to see average looking people either. I don't want to see people like me on like doing modeling. I want to see people that are actually like human specimens, right? You should want to look at the beautiful.
This came up because Calvin Klein just did an ad campaign with Jeremy Allen White from The Bear, and he is in incredible shape. And this is only acceptable because he's a man. Right? Like, we wouldn't see this from a female model. It's only because he's a man that it's acceptable for him to be in incredible shape in an ad campaign. That's fine. We're going to let that slide.
Like a lot of the times, like at least on network television, right? Everyone complains about the women being sexualized. Well, in a lot of shows, you still get plenty of the dudes have to do episodes with their shirts off, right? There's still plenty of that. There's a lot more of that now than there is of women.
Well, I just saw this tweet from this guy that said, my motivation to work out is seeing the look on my wife's face when this scene came up in Reacher, and it's Alan Ritchson shirtless.
You're never gonna look like that dude, bro.
I mean, maybe not, but he said like, this is my motivation to get back to the gym.
Good for him. No, good for that dude personally.
But then everyone was like debating about it, because it's like, is this what women want men to look like, or is this what men want men to look like?
Men, if you want to be like, okay, here's the thing, guys. Depending on your personality type, if you are aspirational, go watch Reacher Season 2. If you are not aspirational and you find yourself easily depressed, don't go watch Reacher Season 2, because the dude's physique will make you absolutely bummed.
Well, most guys have more of that mentality that they see something aspirational and it doesn't make them hate themselves. It makes them want to do better.
It's why men like comic books, right? Because they look at superheroes and they're like, wow, I want to be a superhero. Like, I want to go to the gym. The meme is always, it's like, well, like they see a picture of Conan and they're like, awesome, got to go to the gym, got to get a sword. And but when women see these characters, they're like, why don't I look like that? There must be something wrong with the industry. So we need to change to make these characters look like more like me, rather than me try to look more like these characters. You should not look like Wonder Woman. You're not going to. If you want to try, you should. But Wonder Woman should not look like you. Sorry.
Do you think that I don't even really know who these women are who are supposedly upset. I really think this is just like totally manufactured woke crisis, that there's anyone who's actually upset when they see, like Angelina Jolie on the screen circa 10 years ago.
Before Victoria's Secret did this woke push with the plus size models and everything, and they were aspirational figures, I mean, did you or any woman you know look at that imagery and feel bad about yourself because you didn't reflect it in the mirror? I mean, maybe that was
I think there's
prevalent.
insecurity. I think there's insecurity that most women feel, particularly at a certain certain developmental period. But do I think that it was a widespread phenomenon where people are having their self-esteem significantly damaged by having to see Victoria's Secret? No, I think women like to look at attractive women as well. That's what I've always found, is that I think there's actually something kind of aspirational in that sense too.
I mean, women were the target audience for those Victoria's Secret fashion shows.
The people I'm talking about are the people that actually work in the industry, right? So these are the activists who work in the industry.
That's the interesting question, is why do these activists have so much power, and why is it that corporations are listening to them? How did we get into this weird echo chamber where you have like a few harpies or whatever on Twitter and some woke activists that just dictate to all of us how we're supposed to live? It's crazy.
13 Grappler in the chat says, started Reacher 3 weeks ago, started a cut a week ago. Definitely no correlation. See? You got to get to work, man. You got to get to work if you're going to look like Alan Ritchson. That dude is enormous. And he's going to end up being in the new in the next Fast and the Furious movie too. I don't believe that he ended up because it ended on a cliffhanger. So I think he'll end up being in the next one. It's going to be awesome. But yeah, I would like to see more people return to the idea that aspirational is what you want from your media. Because like we were talking about Target, right? Like you go to Target and I was like, why do they all have the gap between their teeth? Every single one of them. Like I was like, I can understand one or two.
The female model.
Like all the they all. I was like, I get it. Like maybe one or two because that was like a style at some point, right? To have models that had that, but almost all of them, and it's just.
It's like you said about that disfigurement. They have to have some kind of a disfigurement. It's similar. It kind of reminds me of how in order to be considered for an Oscar now, you have to have like a certain number of minorities and a certain kind of representation. And it seems like we're just so fixated on.
Well, that actually is a requirement
these
now.
Types, right?
Because there's going to be those rules go into effect this year for the Oscars.
Ridiculous. It's so artificial, honestly. But
yep. So whatever. So the Lululemon guy says they look unhealthy,
Good for him.
And he's right. He's absolutely right. Says the whole diversity, equity, and inclusion thing, saying the models and the ads are. Do you think that they're sickly or just unhealthy? Sickly, I feel like carries a different connotation.
Well, sickly carries the connotation of like anorexic models, which was the norm in the 90s, right?
Yep.
But for athleisure, where you're going to be going for an athletic body type. Sorry if you're morbidly obese, that's not you.
Mary put out her list of like hopeful in trends and out trends for 2024, and one of the ones that Mary had in her out was hopefully she wanted athleisure to go away. And I said, there's too many attractive people that want to show it off, and there's too many ugly people that need to clothes that stretch.
Yep.
That it's not going anywhere. I'm sorry.
I am not a fan of leggings as pants. And not even saying that from like a modesty perspective.
No.
It just doesn't look like you put any effort into your outfit.
It's true. It's interesting to look at pictures of people, you know, if it's just like a normal day in New York City, say 50 years ago, and to see the way that even people of lower socioeconomic status were dressing, and how nicely people dressed. But
if you go flying with an old person, they'll always tell you about how you used to get dressed up to fly. Yeah.
Well, flying used to be a different type of experience as well.
Well, they used to give us food on those airplanes too. If they're not going to try, then neither am I.
Smoke on the airplanes as well.
Attractive flight attendants.
Yeah. You were able to call stewardesses.
Right.
Not flight attendants.
Not allowed to do that anymore.
How far we've fallen as a culture.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.